Hello everyone and welcome to Accessible Tech Thursdays. Today we are covering Google. You're here today hosted with myself, Neil Beck. You can catch me on Twitter at Neil J. Beck. And we've also got Stephen Cooper here today from Balcarras, and he'll be around on the chat and the questions. So feel free to ask anything if you need to. We've got subtitles here provided by Microsoft Translator plugin. So let me know if you've got any questions or you want to use that at any point. So Google, let's get stuck in. What I've done, possibly for my own sanity, is split up Google Education into 3 areas, and people might disagree with me on these categorizations, but generally this is how I access Google, and I've worked with learners with Google. So generally I'll work with learners on their Chrome browser, and that includes accessing the G Suite of education. Be working directly with them on Chromebooks, which is an entirely different system from Windows. So it has a separate section here. And then there's the possibility of working on mobiles and tablets as well with Google Apps. So with that in mind, this is a good, useful kind of overview to get an idea of what features are available on what platforms. As you can see, screen reader pretty much across the board there. Keyboard shortcuts almost across the board there. And then there's less. So Docs noticeably has Braille and voice typing, so we'll be covering voice typing later. Slides has Braille display, and very importantly, and a kind of last but not least, add caption tracks. For Gmail, you've also got some different options there with high contrast support and changing buttons to text, which is very useful if you're using a screen reader to navigate your Gmail. So one of the key features within Google Chrome is that you can have add-ons, and often what Chrome lacks and what Google Docs and the Google Education Suite lacks in their own accessibility features, they make up for in the browser extensions that you can add in and customize. So we're going to start with one called Read and Write. So this is a toolbar type extension which has text to speech with easy to follow dual color highlighting, has text and picture dictionaries to see the meaning of words, and with speech to text, so you can dictate words to assist with writing and proofreading and studying. The word prediction offers suggestions for the current word to finish it, or the next word as you type, which can make typing sentences much quicker. You can collect highlights from text in documents or the web for summarizing and research. And that tool was actually used by a school that I worked with for their wider cohort of learners, not just learners with special educational needs. So they actually did it as a research project, and they found that it helped them to learn how to use citations and to pull information from different sources. And if you consider how useful that'll be in a kind of educational career, it's one of those tools that crosses that boundary between accessibility and productivity. So you can create and listen to voice notes, which are a really useful kind of halfway step towards dictation, and a useful tool in themselves. You can simplify and summarize text on web pages to remove ads and other kind of copy that can be distracting. The features are free for 30 days for anyone that installs them, and there are free licenses for teachers. So what I've done is I've included the links there for the Chrome extension browser, and also for the teachers link where you can sign up and get a free license for teachers. So Claro, a similar product, so I've mentioned them together. It has a slightly different toolbar. As you can see there, it's a more simplified toolbar, which for the right learner is actually better. but then it doesn't include things like the study skills. So there's a bit of a trade-off there, and it'll have some features that Read and Write does, and there'll be lots of crossover there as well. So again, you can select to hear the text, you can point with the mouse, or you can click play to hear sentences read out loud with highlighting. Works with accessible PDFs opened in Google Chrome, and you can hear either letters, words, or sentences spoken back as you type, which is a really good confirmation tool for making sure that you're saying the right things. It's also good if learners are losing track of words or sentences that they're saying when they're trying to compose something. So having it read back can be really helpful to keep them on track there. You can also turn on a colored overlay, so pages are tinted to a color. I found that tool actually reduces the contrast of the text a little bit. So there are other tools I'll come on to later that are worth a try there as well. You can change the speed, which is an important tool. You can do that in text to help read and write as well. You can activate word prediction, and it has custom dictionaries as well for certain areas that you might be working in, which is really useful if you're doing something in science or a particular subject. It can read the contents of the Google Docs extensions themselves as well, so the support tools then can speak to you. And it's free, and there are some premium features you pay for, but this is quite an easy one to get set up with. I think especially if you struggle to set up accounts for learners, and that's quite a process to do, then I go with Claro to begin with, just because you don't necessarily need to set them up a Google account to get going with the extension. Okay, so those are very useful free tools, and what most learners want to do when they want to read things is read things on the internet. So really good, quick way to get started with that. Another extension moving more towards grammar is Grammarly for Chrome. So it helps you to eliminate writing errors and helps you with some of the grammar in sentences. Once you type it into Google, you will be advertised to by them forever. But it's a trade-off that's worth it, I think, for some learners. And I've put the link there. The other one that's pretty useful more for teachers and considering the way that we deliver things is Screencastify. So this is a screen video recorder with a number of different features. So what I've done is I've put a link there for the extension, and I've also put a link there to help create subtitles, because I think it's something that's a useful feature for those who might want to use this. And I've got a short video actually just here.
Screencastify is a really simple way to record screencasts from right within your Chrome browser. Once you've installed our extension, click our icon and choose whether you want to record your browser tab, entire desktop, or just your webcam. Turn on your microphone if you want to narrate over your recording, and choose if you want to embed your webcam to add a personal touch. Once you're ready, click record and lights, camera, action. Spice up your screencast with our annotation tools. For example, shine a spotlight on your mouse to direct your viewer's eye, or draw on your recording with our pen tool. You can toggle your webcam on and off during a recording and change the location, size, and shape of your webcam. Once you're finished, click our icon again and click the stop button. Your video will automatically save to your Google Drive. Then, you can rename your recording and share it either by grabbing the Google Drive link or by publishing your video directly to YouTube. Our premium subscribers can crop and trim their videos, as well as export them as an MP4 or animated GIF. Thanks for watching and enjoy creating awesome videos with Screencastify.
Great. So
Thanks for watching.
handy little video there. Let's not play that again. Yeah, so really useful tool there, and especially if you're using techniques, as we've discussed before, such as flipped learning. You can find that in our YouTube playlist for Accessible Tech Thursdays, and there's some good tie-ins there, and that might be a good tool to use. This one I just loved. I saw this, I had to pick it out. I just want the recipe, Janet, is the name of the extension. And the quote that they've got under the description is, "I don't need the whole backstory. I just want to make some eggplant carbonara." So that might talk to you if ever you've been doing some kind of cooking classes or things like that, or helping students with independent skills, and you get these long articles that go into, you know, kind of their time in Rome that they spent as a student and all that kind of stuff. And this extension just pulls out just the recipe, just the bits they need, which can make it quite simple. So that's just scratching the surface, really, with the Chrome extensions. There's a lot more. If you're not looking for a toolbar style screen reader, you can try Mercury and Read Aloud. Those are quite useful. There are plenty of ad blockers there, which can really make the screen a lot more simple, which helps a lot of learners. There are a number of different visual changes you can do, including, as we said, the kind of color filters, but also magnification and other text settings that you can change, including a dyslexia-friendly font. There are a number of language tools as well, which have good crossover, and speed reading as well. So I've put the link there to the accessibility extensions that you can use. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about speech to text in Google Docs. So this requires internet and Gmail account. It doesn't require training, and I mean no training as in your voice training, not as in you might not need help from someone else. With things like Dragon, you need to train the software to understand your voice, whereas Google Docs is available right from the off. It has a generic voice profile. There's no need to save documents. There's some issues with punctuation that can hold up learners. So just watch out for that and just make sure they don't get stuck in a rut with it. There are more important things as to whether they get every single comma and full stop, I suppose, if they're just trying to get their ideas down. It's free, which makes it a great start if you're looking for a dictation tool. We have a complete dictation webinar there on the right hand side, so you can go on there and kind of see us doing a demonstration of that, and lots of other tools around dictation. So I'm going to cover a bit on Chromebook accessibility now. To turn on Chromebook accessibility features, at the bottom right, select the time or press Alt plus Shift plus S. Select Settings. At the bottom, select Advanced, and then in the Accessibility section, select Manage Accessibility Features. And to have quick access to the accessibility features, turn on Always Show Accessibility options in the System menu. So if you know you're going to be accessing those lots, it's worth doing that the first time, and then you'll have a much easier route to the accessibility options. Some of the tools that we have there, text to speech again, so you can either turn on the screen reader, which will cover all the text on the screen, or you can have select to speak if there's just certain elements that you want to select and have read back out to you. You can change some settings with the display, so turning on high contrast mode, or the screen magnifier, or changing the screen resolution or text size. You can turn on sticky keys, which means that you don't need to hold down keys like Control or Shift. They stay on once you tap them. An on-screen keyboard, which is really a really useful tool we found with certain learners, especially if they struggle to change their concentration between the screen and a keyboard. So I've noticed some learners who they'll look at the screen and then they'll look at the keyboard and they'll lose their concentration in between that change of focus. So on-screen keyboards are good, especially if learners are comfortable with touch screens. There's keyboard focus highlighting. You can change the keyboard repeat rate, which is how quickly you can press a key without it filtering out, and word prediction as well. You can also learn how to type with your voice, as we mentioned. So there's a really good set of short videos on Chrome and Chrome OS accessibility. I've included the link there, and it's from Laura Palmaro. Co-delivered a webinar some years ago with her, and those short videos are really useful, and they'll break down any of those tools that we've said in a really quick and easy manner. So the other thing you can do is turn on a feature with the mouse and the touchpad. You can turn on navigation buttons in tablet mode, automatic clicking, tap dragging, cursor highlighting, or change the cursor size or color. You can also play all the sounds together through all speakers or play sound on starter. And you can see with the combination of all these, it's quite a good suite of accessibility that's built in, which is good because Chromebooks aren't necessarily able to take on much in the way of kind of third-party tools and software. So they've tried to build a lot in, which is really positive, I think. To type with your voice on Chromebooks, you can turn that on in the accessibility features, as we mentioned how to get to. Then just tap to select where you want to type and select speak. You can also press search plus D or the launcher button plus D, and then just say what you want to type. It's a good accurate tool with high levels of accuracy right from the start. Just make sure you've got a good quality headset, which is generally USB headsets, and you're probably looking to spend at least £30 on a good one, which will make less mistakes. If a learner's using them all the time, that's really important. So Google Meet is the Google version of video calling. So they've got some tools built in that can help you with accessibility there. One of them is live captions. So you can use the captions in a video meeting. And we can see a demonstration of that on the right-hand side. There's a picture of a gentleman with the words underneath of what he's saying, and it's named him as well, which is useful. The screen readers and magnifiers are the support. So blind and low vision users can use the built-in screen reader, full page zoom, high contrast color, and accessibility extensions in Chrome browser. There are a number of keyboard shortcuts that are really useful to control the camera and the microphone and open accessibility features using the keyboard. So I've listed those in that link there. For Google Meeting room hardware, you can use spoken feedback and live captions on Google Meet hardware and Chromebooks and Chromebase for meetings. So as a quick summary of kind of not just what the features are, the live captions are high quality. You can rely on them. The keyboard shortcuts for video calls and within chat function are really useful. That's good accessibility. Screen reader accessible makes them stand out as well. That's really important. It integrates with both Microsoft Outlook and Gmail, which are two of the major email platforms people are using, I suppose. And it's got a good, simple, easy to use interface. It can be used in a web browser, and you can make full use of the magnifier, high contrast color, and accessibility extensions. Captions are only available in English, and importantly, if you record a video meeting, captions are not recorded and don't appear when you play the recording. So that's worth considering if you're creating any accessible resources. So now to come on to a few apps that I've found quite interesting that might help with a few things. So this is Google Lens, and it works very much, if you've been in our previous webinars, similar to Microsoft Seeing AI, and a little bit like Claro Scan Pen and Envision AI. So it takes pictures of things with a camera function, and then it recognizes things in that image. So that can do all kinds of things. It can translate text in from another language. It can copy text from the camera with optical character recognition. And they sometimes don't mention this on the features because they don't see it as a core feature, but it does have text to speech. So if you've taken a picture of some text, then it will recognize the text, and then you can tap on it and have it read out to you. So again, that's a tool you can use on the go. There's quite a simple link there, lens.google.com. And the picture on the side there just shows some text in another language that's been selected, recognized, and is having it read out. You can identify objects through image recognition, which has some use for those with visual impairments. But I'd probably, out the two, I'd recommend Microsoft Seeing AI, as it's more designed for that, and a more simple interface, so you can navigate it with visual impairments. You can scan barcodes, identify items, and provide information about a product. And it can give you information about dishes or things that maybe you don't understand on a menu. The picture on the right-hand side is of a tulip, and it's quite a fun little thing to just go out and see what you can take pictures of and pick up, and yeah, find things that you want to find. So this next app, Google Keep, I think is a real hidden gem. I really like this app, and I use it for my own notes. You can use it to create notes, create lists, have audio notes with the transcript. You can have pictures, mixed media, and it's collaborative as well. So I've just got a short video that I can share with you just to show you what the app looks like on a mobile phone. It'll look a little bit different on the computer, but your resources are accessible once you've got your account on phone and on computer. So this is the widget that I've got, which is a kind of shortcut tool that you can have on Android phones. It just means the information is there right on your home screen, which some learners might find really useful. As you can see, I've got a borderline obsession with sourdough at the moment, so those are my top two ones. I'm also doing some freezer measurements there. And what we can do is we can click into the app itself. And once we're in the app, you can see the note that I've written down there. And that's just something I've copied and pasted in. You can hit back and go back to the screen where you can see all of the notes that you've got there. So links, if you post them in, they come up with a picture that's associated with it that can be really helpful. And what I've done is I've pinned 2 notes up to the top. Let's create a list then. So let's go shopping today. Let's also do everyone's favorite job, clean out the fridge. And maybe I want to walk the dog today as well. So you can, as you can see, there's an emoji that's come up there of a dog. So if you're looking at learners kind of making lists and kind of helping them out, that can be an easy way to kind of associate things and help them out there to make these lists. And then as you tick them off, they'll put just a strike through and have them at the bottom there. And you can title it as well, which will make it easier to find what you're after. So these are all searchable. So if you've done something months ago, you can find it again. Let's try creating a voice note next. So the microphone symbol at the bottom, if we tap that, it uses Google speech recognition. So if we say, today I need to upload the webinar to YouTube and also need to send out an email to all participants, then it's just detected that and it's put that into a note. And I can also play the audio back. Today I need to upload the webinar to YouTube and also need to send out an email to all participants. So it's really good to have those tools built in. It's quite an easy, quick note tool. You can add different media. You can pin that to the top. With the media, you can add photos, images that you've already got. You can have drawings, and as we've said, the recordings and the tick boxes. You can color the notes, so you can color coordinate them, which is quite useful for some learners. You can also have them with preset labels. So if I wanted this one to be in food and recipes, then I could tick that. And you can make it collaborative as well. So you as a teacher or an educator can work to create resources for learners. So I've actually used this with some learners to create step-by-step guides on how to do things that they might need help to do. Really useful for work placements and things like that, to be able to create resources like that. And also used for visual timetables. And the good thing is, because it's a built-in tool and it's available on kind of multiple platforms, computer, phone, things like that, I can be typing and creating a resource on a computer and it can pop up on a student's phone. So handy little tool there, and I'm sure you'll think of some other ways that you might use that for learners that you're working with. Of course, bear in mind with all of these that if you're setting up accounts for learners, or if you're kind of working with learners, just bear in mind safeguarding issues and things like that. Okay, so we're coming towards the end now. Please feel free to pop any questions you've got in the chat box of anything we've covered today. Google Education does have some useful resources that I've listed here, and I'll make sure the slides are available to everyone after the presentation. And I'll make sure that they're available in the shared folder that we've got, which is a repository of all the resources that we've created so far through the course. So we've got one on working from home there. We've got some useful tips there. We've got a course that will take you through the basics of using Google Education. And there is an accessibility hub, which will take you to all the different resources that you need around accessibility. Can be a little overwhelming, which is why I've tried to structure this presentation in a different way, perhaps. There's also a really useful Google Accessibility playlist, and if I had more time, I think I'd be going through some of these as well. But these are really useful if you want to check them out. There's all different kinds of technology advancements that they're doing around accessibility, and that's updated fairly frequently. Okay, so we are next week looking at Apple accessibility. So we'll be covering some things with iPads and iPods and iPhones and everything. So yeah, feel free to come along to that one. We'll then be focusing on mobile technologies on the 3rd of December as well. And that 3rd of December one will have a drop-in session where you can bring any student queries that you've got. The link there is bit.ly, capital A, capital T, HURS. And that'll take you to all the previous webinars and any upcoming webinars to register on. So
we've got, sorry Neil, we've got a question here. I don't know if you were about to just jump into it as well. So, but a question from Paul saying, how easy is it to repurpose aging or end of life laptops into Chromebooks? And I've got some stuff on that if you want. If you've never done that before,
please hop in.
Yeah, so a few years ago now, I did a sort of roundtable event, a sort of a live ed tech kind of event that was going on, and one of the guys I was sharing that roundtable with was borderline obsessive with doing this. I think he went and found every old laptop that you could possibly find and that could buy it for cheap, and did exactly that with them. And he swore by this idea and reckoned it was pretty straightforward to do. And I think if you go online, you find some YouTube particularly, anything like that, you'll find a few guides that show you how you can actually fairly quickly turn some old laptops into Chromebooks, and it works quite nicely because the the actual processors and memory and all the stuff inside a computer does not need to be as powerful to run a Chromebook as it does to run Windows. So you can turn some pretty old computers into Chromebooks quite effectively, actually. So it's a really nice idea.
Great. Have you done that, or would you do that?
If I, at the moment, yes, I definitely would do it. Now, the school I'm at is not using Google stuff, so we have no need really to do that here.
Sure.
But if I was looking for a really good way of sort of bridging that technology gap that's really being made evident at the moment, and for on a tight budget as well, I'd definitely look at that idea. I think it could be really powerful if you're trying to send out laptops to students that they can use at home if they're having issues with the technology they've got at home. But you can pick up a load of cheap laptops.
Steve, that's really interesting. If we could maybe look up any resources that are available on that, and then we can send that out and maybe put it in the YouTube comments as well. That might really help some people.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll see if I can find a good, simple guide as to how it can be done. I'm sure there are some out there.
Great. Thanks for the question, Paul. Really good question. And yeah, thank you everyone for attending. Thanks, Steve, for helping with the questions and the organization today. If there's anything that you've seen that you're interested in and want to learn more about, and you want some help, more help with it, more in depth, then you can visit edtech-demonstrator.lgfl.net. And you can also follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook there on the right-hand side. I'll leave the chat open for a little while just in case anyone's got any questions or comments. But yeah, just say thank you very much, and hope to see you all next week.